and never forgetting also that there is this other unseen hand that knows absolutely what consciousness is, who are experts in that fact. You're walking around couldn't care less. You're waiting for the next movie to come out and the next fashion and all that, what Hollywood's going to do next. But there's people there who have a thorough understanding of human consciousness, human psyche, human libido, and they're working on it 24/7 to feather their own nests and also to keep man in servitude, man whom they think is their creation. They think of man as just being one of their own, like somebody treats a pet. If you actually watch how people mostly treat their pets, when you really watch it, you'll find that the pet is a slave. Well, we have people ruling this society who think of human beings as pets and slaves. Yeah, they provide you with some food and they take you for a walk now and again, but they basically you are a pet and you'll be told where to sit and where to go and what to do. That should be obvious to people by now. But these individuals don't really have any fear of us. Well, they do have fear of us to the extent that they know if we were awakened what we could do.
I'm deeply troubled that a very vague, emotionally stated, semi-theologically defined diagnosis of the central global menace is obscuring our national ability to comprehend the historically unprecedented challenge which is being posed in our time by a massive global political awakening, and thus is obstructing our ability to deal effectively with the global political turmoil that this awakening is generating.
So their motive of why they would want to dumb down people is also highly practical. Remember, these people are very, very practical. They may be evil, but they're also very practical. They know that you don't want a mass of intelligent, free-thinking, self-aware, proactive, deeply concerned, spiritually empowered people. That's the worst threat that they can imagine. So it's very practical for them to keep people, what do they call it? One leash for one neck. Everybody in a complete sense of consent, with the illusion that they're independent. It doesn't work without that.
Like a unanimous majority.
Exactly, that's what's worrying me. Very bad for morale. Some of these good people don't seem to appreciate the value of free elections. They think it's a game.
Everyone votes for a dictator.
Not at all. It's just that their resistance is low. Frankly, my dear fellow, you are just the sort of candidate we need.
There's recently a lack of opposition in the matter of free elections. This is not good for our community and reflects an acceptance of things as they are. We know what we must do. What must we do? Exactly. We are, however, fortunate in having with us a recent recruit whose outlook is particularly militant and individualistic. Let us hope that he will not deny his duty to the community by refusing to take up the challenge. Good people, it is my pleasure to present to you the one and only number 6.
I am not a number. I am a person. In some place, at some time, all of you held positions of a secret nature and had knowledge that was invaluable to an enemy. Like me, you are here to have that knowledge protected or extracted.
That's the stuff to give them.
Unlike me, many of you have accepted the situation of your imprisonment and will die here like rotten cabbages.
Keep going, they'll love it.
The rest of you have gone over to the side of our keepers. Which is which? How many of each? Who's standing beside you now? I intend to discover who are the prisoners and who the warders. I shall be running for office in this election.
Good people, let us applaud a citizen of character. May the better man win, and a big hand for number 6. He's seeing you.
You must absolutely have the illusion of independence and self-determination. And we have a problem then. We have a problem that to really, really be independent, to really be an individual, which in psychological terms is called individuation, that's difficult for most people. It's kind of tough. It requires work. It requires, to think and act in moral ways, and that's just too much trouble. I wish there was a halfway, stage. So the media goes, well, there is. We'll sell you the fashion of independence. You can buy into this. You can be a goth, a punk, you can be straight, you can be gay, you can be macho. We'll sell you all sorts of images to decorate your inauthentic life. And that will pacify you because there is a voice that's kind of screaming inside of you that you're not living an authentic life. We know that. We know that's a tough voice to live with. But you also can't really do anything about it because, you're lazy and you're weak. And you realize what you would have to sacrifice or lose if you really took the true moral way. The way of selfhood and the way of finding out who and what you are. We know that's difficult for you. So what we'll do is we'll manifest a bunch of simulacras. We have a whole industry creating false personas. But if you buy into that, and it's very easy to do that. I mean, it's just a matter of going down to the hairdresser and coloring your hair pink and wearing a couple of earrings and getting a few tattoos and, having a big t-shirt with anarchy written on it. But you're the last person who even understands what true freedom and anarchy is. But don't worry about that. Well, the world is full of those kinds of people, isn't it? But do you see it as being any more free? If that was ever going to solve the world's problems, what happened in the 1960s when everybody was free, quote unquote? Where's the love now? Did it stop wars? Did it stop evil men ruling the world? Did it stop genocide? Did it stop the mutilation of animals and abattoirs? Tell me what one thing that the hippie movement or the punk movement of the 1970s achieved. Well, I'll tell you what they achieved. The leaders of the punk movement are living like pashas and maharajas in $1 million houses over there in Bel Air and also in Los Angeles. Billy Idol has a fleet of Harley Davidsons. That's what happened. That's what happened. But they're wearing a hammer and sickle. We're for the people, peace and love, CND, all that shit, utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. Maybe the man from within who's completely incognito, who's working within the system, suit and tie, would never even pass him by on the street. Maybe those people will do more damage to the evil status quo than all those hordes screaming for reform, Because it's not just a mass of people label reading, running away into these inauthentic models. It's a small group of educated people, dedicated, passionate, absolutely zero tolerance for the lie, who are from all walks of life, who have spiritually, most importantly, that they are spiritually adept, that they understand what knowledge is. They have reverence for knowledge. They're not just trying to gain knowledge. Any idiot can do that. Gaining knowledge, well, God, the schools are full of it. No. It's a matter of loving knowledge. That's a big difference. Loving knowledge, understanding what knowledge is a whole different thing than gaining knowledge. So there's these fine lines in all of this, very fine lines. And if the knowledge has to be empowering and changing you first, how can you do anything to change another world? Or maybe you don't even have the right. Maybe we're on the complete wrong subject matter altogether. How does anyone even think that they have a right to involve themselves in the life or the lifestyle of anyone else? If you really think about that, you'll find it's pretty preposterous. But at the same time, you do have the right to fix your own life. That, at least we know, is an absolute. You have the absolute right to work on your life. You have the right to make any of the choices that you want to make. So then my work sort of really focuses on that and doesn't stray from that. If it is true that the Illuminati, the child molesting priests, the Templars, and all of these people, what would we think if it is proven or found out that each and every one of these people has the perfect right to do what they are doing, and that you in fact have really no right to tell them or anyone else what to do? What happens if that turns out to be the spiritual law, and that the only thing that you have the right to do is to change your own life regardless of what anybody else is doing? well, then we have a problem, because the whole world is running around doing exactly the opposite. Everyone's running around fixing all of these other people and waving placards and getting reforms and getting change this and do that, or we'll lock you up, and society will go through these cycles in which you have a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, a little bit of dark, a little bit of light. And yet the real work is about you taking care of your own house, your own garden. And if everybody did that, you know, unseen forces would come to aid. Man would, like Vernon Howard said, we can accept that God can become man to save man, but we can't accept that man can become God to save himself. It's one of the most powerful statements I've ever heard. And so what is that dependency in human beings that makes them refute that? We know that everyone listening to the sound of my voice is going to refute that. No, it's Jesus who's meant to do it. Muhammad, Allah, what are you talking? Oh, that's all that humanist stuff. Man being his own God. Oh, satanic evil. So we already know that, you know, that's not a common held theory. But wait a minute. What then is the motive that makes people refute that statement? Before we get into what they're into, you're a Christian. Why would you feel motivated to not accept that man is his own savior? I'm very interested in that. I'm very interested in as to why you, not the cult, not the clan, not your guru, why you would, you know, have a problem with that. What's in your psychology that has made you in the 20 years of your life, or the 25 years of your life, or the 40 years of your life, not have enough brain cells to realize, my God, that's the bottom line. Because in my opinion, if you don't accept that, you are an unsane person. You're not insane, you're unsane. You're toxic, and you know you need to be quarantined or something. That's really the long and short of it, in my opinion. Then I want to get the crucifix out. As soon as I hear that somebody is, you know, thinking that another authority, another person, has the rights over their mental and emotional and attitudinal and psychic life, I'm worried about that person, because I know that person has got some very serious psychological and existential problems right off the bat. Right off the bat. Then that person is going to be, you know, a herd, part of some herd, or will be a controller of a herd, or will be manipulated by the herd, or whatever you want to call it. But that person is not going to end ever. You're never going to find that person, you know, in doing good in the world, real necessary good at all. It's just a contradiction in terms. It's impossible. They may be sold the illusion or the delusion that they're doing wonderful work, because they give to Live Aid or the next stupid charity that pops up out of the woodwork, you know. They were there. Great, you were there, yeah. Well, we had Live Aid, didn't we? When was that? 1982 or something? You know, did the world get any better? No, all that happened is Bono and Geldof got on their best clothes one day and walked off down there to Buckingham Palace, got on their bony knees and said, thank you, Mom, for their little award. Okay, that's what happened. And their kids will go to good schools, and they will have, you know, $1 million hotels, and they'll have the best time of it, because they're sellouts. They're people who sold out or were already working for this cult of Dionysus, people's champions, in order to lead you away, just like in the Monty Python Meaning of Life. Follow Andre, the waiter. He's got something to show you, so you go up down some streets,
over here,
up some alleyways,
come on,
through a bunch of parks,
if I may, huh?
Take you on a 15-minute tour.
Nearly there now.
To show you something.
See that?
It leaves you up in an empty field.
Much of a philosophy, I know. Fuck you.
And then gets angry with you.
Fuck off.
You don't think it's very much.
Don't come following me.
Yeah. So keep on following Andre. That's what every guru, every priest, every politician is telling you. It's all tomorrow. Every scientist, you're going to have it tomorrow. You're going to have it tomorrow. You can't have it today, because we don't live in the now. We live in tomorrow's world. Tomorrow doesn't even their own science proves it doesn't. Tomorrow doesn't exist, but they're going to tell you it all exists in tomorrow. So the fundamental line is: discover that there's a hidden hand, mind controlling the world, operating to keep you down. Understand that you are a participant in that, because you are allowing those hooks into your flesh. I've said it many times, and I said it recently, said it last year. You must distinguish the difference between saying, have I been sold a lie? And the difference between, yeah, but have I bought a lie? Because there's all the difference in the world attitudinally between those two statements. You are being sold a lie. But that's the perfect right of that salesman to sell you a lie. The universal force doesn't care about that. Universal force's judgment, field is not really operating on that frequency at all. the judgment field, the whole spiritual ball of wax begins based on whether or not you bought that lie. That's the clause, that's the nuance, that's the difference. It's a no different a rule than anything that applies when you're shopping downtown. I can't even think of how it would be different. You know, this person prefers Gucci over, you know, Versace. This person likes Levi's over Wrangler. They have the right to sell you whatever they feel like. They have the right to even believe what they feel like. You know, somebody likes cappuccino, somebody else likes what? Latte, mocha, right? Choice must be there. The decision is yours. But where the real moral component comes in is what you bought and what you put your energy into and what you gave in exchange for what you bought. And if man is not in inner harmony or tuned correctly, he's going to create chaotic noise. If a guitar isn't tuned properly, don't expect it to play well. It's going to be in discord and it will create chaotic sounds. So the bottom line comes in is about how are you tuned? How are you tuning your inner instrument, your consciousness? As I said, the alternative to that is to not tune it, but then hang out with a whole symphony of likewise untuned people, so you can all believe you're cool. In fact, you can say, no, this is a radical new form of avant-garde music we're playing here. It's real hip, it's real cool. All this chaos. In fact, this chaos is really true. This chaos is the ultimate form of music. But that's just you know, mind controlling yourself into believing that your chaos is order. And unfortunately, there are very toxic people in the world who don't like order. They want chaos because they feel good in that chaos, and you're providing it for them. No human being who is in their center can be hypnotized. That's what needs to be remembered. No human being who is in their center, who is being guided, who is close to their intuition, who's a sharp critical apparatus, who's got a sharp sense of judgment, can ever be manipulated. Not for any permanent or lasting length of time. You know, they can be diluted temporarily perhaps, but you know, it's like a muscle you have to keep on working on, a muscle you have to keep on sharpening, like anything. And I really believe that a lot of the obstacles and challenges and you know, tragedies that are occurring in the world, that's what this is for. This is the grinder. This is the thing that's sharpening the blades of intelligent people. You know, you have to have friction. I'm sorry, it just happens. You can't sharpen an axe or a beautiful blade without that grinder, without that sharpening apparatus and the friction that's caused and the mechanics of that. So it's the same way with sharpening consciousness. You must have this whetstone of the world in order to sharpen your mind and sharpen your consciousness, so that you come to see, you know, some of the meaning in all of this. And it's ultimately a discovery of your own self. It's not about a discovery of society or other people. All of it is a discovery of who and what you are, ultimately. So we come back to this comment or this quote at the back of Jim Keith's Mass Control. The first sentence was, "Here stands the new man." And this ties into my work on 2012. You know, and looking at just one other theory that might explain, because the generally held consensus is, you know, that 2012 will signal the end of the world. Obviously that's not going to happen, but it's not the end of the world, it's the end of man's world. It's the end of one cycle of experience. This is what I keep emphasizing, you know, it's that it's lunatic to think you can ever negatively affect nature or time or even the planet Earth to that extent. But what you can change is your own lifestyle, the lifestyle you've grown accustomed to politically, economically, religiously, psychologically, you see. From an astrological point of view, and if you tie in astrology with psychology, you get this concept about the death of the ego, that the ego of man's inner light, his inner sun, is finite. It has a finite life cycle, as a matter of fact. This is very much brought out in the Vedas, but it's also brought out in astrology with the 12 houses of the zodiac representing the 12 cycles, the 12 seasons of consciousness. Well, we happen to be in the very last degrees of the last sign of the zodiac, opening a whole subject connecting to the mortality, fatality of the ego itself. And that could this cycle be either the beginning or the ending cycle of this one phase of ego life. Doesn't mean that another type of ego life won't manifest tomorrow. All the gods are born out of the waters again, return to chaos, or then arises a newborn type of consciousness. But the fact of the matter is that predictions of tomorrow don't interest me. What interests me is what's happening now. What is the climate that's happening now? But even leaving that aside, whether or not the ego is going to die, or whether or not there is this life cycle in consciousness, which I personally do believe, the whole new man concept, or also what some scholars have called the post-human world, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what also we need to be paying attention to, that are we hurtling towards a time of apocalypse because the controllers or the people who think of us as their creations are actually going to move in themselves to another phase of life, another cycle of life. One that involves, the organic computer, or a more mechanical type of mind. The mind is quite capable of operating mechanically. The brain, as I said, after all, is programmed by the outside world. It's nothing more than a glorified computer. But so could the end of history, or the end of man's history, around about 2012 be this? The opening or the initiation, the inauguration of a post-human world in which man and computer, the cyborg is born? People might laugh at that, but if you have the eyes to see it, what is it that really makes a person human as opposed to a machine? What are people doing with their emotions right now? Are people happy and adjusted emotionally? Are people even looking at their emotions? Do people even understand what emotion is? Or the subtle differences between emotion and sensation, you see? Are people dealing with the dark side of their content? Or are they acting out in dysfunctional ways? Are they locked in dependent-based codependent relationships? Are they enslaving other people to their belief systems? Are they power tripping? Which one of these is it, you see? Well, sadly, it's all the latter.
What's wrong?
Nothing really. I just feel that I need something stronger.
If you have a problem, don't hesitate to ask for assistance.
Yes, thank you. I'll be all right.
Call 3485. What's wrong?
I need something stronger.
Take 4 red capsules. In 10 minutes, take 2 more. Help is on the way.
Remember, an interval overdose may cause a serious chemical imbalance.
I needed some Panura last night. I feel as if something
Excellent.
odd were happening to me. Something
Yes.
I can't understand.
Could you be more specific?
The sedatives. I'm taking Atrazine, but it doesn't seem strong enough. I have a hard time concentrating.
You are a true believer. Blessings of the state.
Please forgive me.
Blessings of the masses. Thou art a subject of the divine, created in the image of man, by the masses, for the masses. Let us be thankful we have an occupation to fill. Work hard. Increase production. Prevent accidents. And be happy.
So could it not be that in exactly the same way as a person will take a medication, a drug, a panacea, or some other kind of escape to escape their own inner emotions, in exactly the same way as that happens on a daily basis? If the government comes along tomorrow and says, we have the perfect way for you to get rid of these troublesome emotions, would the world not buy into it? I think the world would buy into it in 5 seconds flat. They would. They're already doing it.
This pill can solve all of your problems. It's called Prozac, and it may mean the end of depression as we know it.
I've been taking Prozac for 2 years.
And what difference has that made?
Brilliant.
Oh, she's
Yes.
smiling, eyes lighter.
And I feel as if I'm back to normal.
You feel normal?
Yeah.
And you feel a better person?
Yeah, yeah.
Has it worked? You look very dubious, my friend.
Apparently it has. I can't help being suspicious of it. I don't think she's the woman I married.
Why?
I think she's changed.
In what way?
I don't know. I don't know, but there's something there that is different.
Okay, she's not the woman you married. Is she a better woman?
No, she's different.
Medication, the prescription drugs are on the skyrocketing. Illicit drugs, of course. The climate of debauch, the feeling of disgruntlement and utterly alienated feelings, you see, of these mutilated teens who don't meet any wise grandparents, who are latchkey children, you see, who never see their parents. They grow up on fast foods and popcorn and the television. You mean to tell me we can do all of that and then expect that there's going to be some glowing utopia in the future? What kind of delusion are people in? Nature is being toppled every 5 minutes to put new buildings and apartments, you know? That whole contradiction of then you cut down the trees and then you name the streets after them. So if you have all of this and you're rational, you start to see that, wait a minute, man finds his own inner nature, his own psyche troublesome. He's not at peace with himself. He's certainly not even able to handle his own darker emotions. He has segmented and divided his consciousness into infinite parts. There's only one mind, one consciousness, but he has divided it into so many sections. The body and the brain, the heart and the mind, the soul and the brain, the soul and the mind. The psyche is now conscious and unconscious. The ego has, separate compartments. Well, says who? All of this division, because man is desperate to disassociate. That's a form of mind control. In fact, they know that in clinical mind control experiments, disassociation is one of the primal things. It's the first thing, is to break the mind up into many fragments. They usually do it through trauma. So man is traumatized on his own by operating in the world. He gets traumatized in his relationships. He may actually physically be traumatized by rotten parents. So we're talking about very, very physical things here. We're talking about people who may have undergone enormous abuse in their life. We may be talking about sensitive people who've been very, very betrayed and done, had terrible things happen to them. And that causes all sorts of ramifications, trauma, loss of center, terrible, blame game stuff can happen, or just a frozenness, a sense of trauma that just freezes your circuitry. Lack of trust, terrible hostility, defensiveness, all of that. In fact, some people have said that the ego is nothing but a mass of defenses. The ego, consciousness, is nothing but a mass of defenses. This is completely accepted. But to cut a long story short, what happens if we get to a place where people are so novice at even dealing with the most rudimentary psychic disturbances, shall we call it? In other words, anything that comes to ruffle the surface of that, Disney World, fake Hollywood creation of their sensational life. The one-sided, the one-seasoned world person who's quite happy with that, all the things that the society provides, and who's lost themselves in society and their job and their career and their sport, and all of that. Not that these things are individually wrong, but it's about how people have got immersed in all of this. So that person who's now completely one-dimensional, who's troubled by anything that, disturbs their little view of reality, this little homogenous world of franchised, corporatized, televised, media-sized, pre-digested rubbish that is being put out there, created ad infinitum. What happens, because the emotions don't go away. This is what Freud and all have so beautifully proved. You can repress them, because this is a faculty of consciousness. It was actually a needed faculty, but we overdo it. You can repress your emotions. You can pretend they don't exist. You can forget, and then forget that you forgot, which is what repression is. However, the psychologists have always reminded you that that only works up to a point. The unconscious is not a endless dumpster in which you can perpetually dump all your psychic content, because life will bring up more challenges that again bring out those repressions. And I believe that a lot of the chaos you're seeing now and the wars and the state of that America is in specifically is a result of psychic repression. But I've explained that elsewhere. What I'm looking at right now is, could it be that man becomes so threatened, so destabilized by his own emotions, such an incredibly disassociated person, that first they run to drugs, as the culture is doing now. People run to medication, people run to sugar, to gossip, to the match, the game, whatever, all the different ways that people run to escape looking at themselves. I don't see any difference in that. And if you predict that in the future, if you sort of look with prescience and think, well, man isn't changing that status quo. He's not getting any wiser. He's certainly not turning to alleviate the problem in a good way. Well, my God, then, that's pretty frightening. Is that what it means by the end of the world, the end of history? That all the idioms that have been built by our wise forefathers, we sell it out up the river? When I look around at human beings, I can definitely see that coming. You only have to speak a few lines of wisdom on any mainstream chat show and everyone falls into dead silence like you're a dinosaur. You can be on the Bill Maher show, you can be on Oprah Winfrey, and you just happen to drop one line of anything that sounds like it means something, and everyone freezes like they've been tasered. There's the obligatory silence, change of subject, or you're a nut. Suspicion. People are suspicious of the wise. I'll tell you why they're suspicious of that. Because they have now removed themselves in their consciousness so far from their own authentic voice, from their own imagination body, from their own centers of intelligence. What is it? You have intellect, but you don't have intelligence? People can be intellectual, but not necessarily intelligent. It's very true. It's very accurate. But if you have removed yourself and you become so dependent on the teachers and the priest and the expert, that you've so divorced yourself from your own voice. I don't see. People have, in my eyes, have already done that. When you go to school and, there's no difference in the world to me. Then the type of acceptance of external authority that is already going on right now in the world and what might be coming tomorrow of a more severe nature. Because the most frightening machine of all is a man that has lost his humanity, lost his virtue. What you see in most people today is not virtue. What you see today is the performance of deeds, sort of by rote, like you've been trained. You take even a fantastic stallion, a wild stallion, but you train it and you whip it every hour of every day, you're going to have that stallion do the most idiotic things. They can make the elephant, the greatest of all creatures on the earth, jump through hoops and do the most ludicrous things. Killer whales, can you believe it? Have been trained to, pounce about in a swimming pool. Don't tell me then that the human being is not going to be able to, told to stand on his head. He's absolutely quite capable. He does it every day. He's in absolute escapism from the real. And so that person can become so far removed, so psychically, he can become an inhabitant psychically of the periphery of being. If you want to use some philosophical jargon, he can become an inhabitant, of the periphery of his own being. He can live on the surface of himself. Hell, you only have to listen to most people's voices to know they're living on the surface of themselves, that they're not even connected to their deeper emotions. Some people are experts in the way people walk, their stance, their posture, sound of voice, choices that they've made, the relationships that they're in. There's ways to tell. There's ways to tell. And people are sitting around going, well, I don't know what that means. You have to tell me what it means. You got to show, have you got a religion I can join? Or, have you got a book I can read? Or, where's the system? I'd love to do that. I'd love to find out all about myself. Tell me how. Tell you how. What planet are we on? The meaning is that you discover it yourself. This is an absolute journey only you can go on. So man was created once, or at least his biology was very messed with, and he arose in recent times. Somewhere between 50,000 years ago and 13,000 years ago, something incredible happened that then caused, historical trauma. And that trauma can be traced back about 10,000 years ago when the first records of man violence on man, man's violence on nature, the disconnect started to happen. And this bipolar type of thing happened. And one of the greatest symptoms of the fact that man is very removed from his center is that not only is he not looking at the dark side of himself, not only is he misunderstanding what it means when traumas happen and tragedy happens, complete misunderstanding of that, he's also misunderstanding those children of rebellion or children of the Holy Spirit who are amongst him now that are showing a new way. To make it more obvious or clear, all those so-called ADD children, right, attention deficit disorder nonsense, right? Oh yes, you're oppositional. I think back to the prisoner, Patrick McGowan, unmutual. So we better deal with you. You're unmutual. You don't want to be unmutual. In fact, in that particular episode, it's strikingly brilliant how he shows the clamor of voices. Number 6, the prisoner, is introduced to all the different factions. Remember we were talking about all the different points of view in the factions? He meets all of these people. He meets a poet, a little left-winger, an extremist. He meets all of these little people who are all thinking he is their worst enemy. He hasn't opened his mouth, he hasn't said a thing, but he doesn't fit in with any of the groups because he won't join. So each group has one thing in common: they hate him. But getting back to our point, these children that are sitting there with so-called a defective oppositional disorder, they're broken, they're broken, society's not broken. Well, as a matter of fact, what happens if we turn that around and say that these are children of the Aquarian age who find your jive so utterly, incomprehensibly boring that they cannot pay attention because it is about the most anti-spiritual, soulless junk that any human being would ever want to be exposed to. But you don't see that, so they're broken, they're dysfunctional, they're, need treatment. This is a symptom. These are the teachers of tomorrow. These are the Aquarian children. These are the meta children. What's often been called indigo children, whatever that means, but the exceptional children, the exceptional teens who are so much more mature, than their parents and other people. They've already checked out of that lie. Granted, they may not know where exactly to be going, but they've reached 50% of the job. They realize that this is a joke. And in fact, it's so much of a joke that I'll take anything other than what you're selling me. Now, the downside of that is, you've also got the Dark Brothers waiting to drag them into all that other perversion and perversity, which is the danger, of course. Because now that they're leaving, it's like lemmings going over the cliff. If you don't know where you're going, you have the danger to be picked up by the dark side, recruited, so to speak. And these cults and orders have seeded the popular culture movement with their own agents that look very alluring and who sell you all of this stuff, so that children are waylaid. This is an old story going back to the earliest fairy tales and folk tales, of the seduction of the children, all back to Hansel and Gretel and way back before that. Or the Pied Piper of Hamelin concept. How real is that story, So the dysfunction is in society not being able to catch up with the new kind of whole brain, holactic thinking, which is extremely needed, not to stop left brain thinking, but to include it, to have a whole symbolic literacy thing going, to learn in much more egalitarian ways, to include the person as opposed to the brain in teachings and in schooling. So man now finds himself at a point where he has a tremendous choice. New man sounds lovely when you say the word. Well, utopian sounds wonderful when you say the word. But if that is a utopia born out of the ashes of the world that was created by our ancestors, I don't want to know about it. If the new man is spiritually stark naked, I don't want to know about him. Vico understood it. Edward Gibbon understood it. Plato understood it. That civilizations, they rise and they fall. We can say that we are in a necrotic cycle. And there is nothing wrong with that. Nature has its cycles, like the winter cycle, and all the way up to fractal you have the same concept of this anaerobic and catabolic cycles, the construction and the deconstructive. All that needs to happen is an attitudinal change today in which people get with this deconstructive model and allow your children to explore it and understand it, because they are picking up on it like antenna more than the average person who's in lockdown, in this mediocrity of their life. Change is going to happen whether you like it or not. One has to realize that if you go with the deconstructive cycle, then out of that comes the most, finest things. When you really realize its beauty, when you see its beauty for what it is, then you realize it's nothing to be fearful about at all. All that it's doing is it's ending your lie. It's ending your illusion. It's taking away from you that which you don't need. So let it go, attach to nothing and let it go. But then you're going to have the conservative mindset on the other side who can't do that. And so those are the people who are in trouble. Those are the people who are in trouble. And my message to the children of truth, the servants of truth, the ones who are getting a handle on this, can work this into their lives, please, please, please do not for 1 second imagine that it's your job to become the scaffolding for those who are falling. You can interpret this in whatever way you feel like. But you question whether or not it is your job to be reinforcing, propping up, assisting, helping, caring for, or whatever term you want to use, those people who are like, just, let's say, are not going to continue, and who you know, it's okay that they're not going to continue. You ask yourself that question because you're going to need to know the answer, because it's going to happen. This is a drama in which the protagonist and antagonist, there's a relationship. So the individual is going to have to look into this whole question of dependency. Who are you dependent on? Who are you making dependent on you? Who's asking you to become dependent on them? Who lacks the independence? And what happens if you pull away your energy from those people? You know, if they fall, can you let them fall? Or are you going to spend your life, you see, you know, propping up other people who haven't not got their own stability? You know, is that divinely correct to do that? Is it really in the intention of the true spirit to do that? Maybe it's more spiritual to let people like that fall, because at least it's a natural thing. Out of that fall, they may grow. They may end up, you know, really passing the tests. Whereas if you're constantly propping them up, you may be violating fate. You may be going against the natural flow of things. But I really encourage people also to not be too speculative about, you know, oh yeah, what's going to happen in the age of Aquarius, you know? Well, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You're not going to be around anyway to work it out. So worry about right now, the world and the life that you're in, and avoid all these other escapes of what might be tomorrow and exactly what the, you know, clothes they'll be wearing in the Aquarian age and what the hairstyles will be like, and, you know, will God really come down to earth in a big chariot and all of this stuff that preoccupies so many people, you know? That's all pipe dreaming. Anything could happen, you know? Let your imagination roam free, but really bend your practical interests in what is happening now. You're living in an age in which you're meant to be an observer of it. You're meant to be like a sort of a super journalist. It's like that movie, you know, The Day the Earth Stood Still, where the guy comes down, you know. Each individual living today can adopt that kind of understanding. You're here witnessing something incredible. And you should laugh, and you should cry, and you should weep, and you should mourn, and you should be exalted. You should see all of it. But also keep a certain healthy sense of, you know, detachment from it all. Never forgetting that, you know, you have your particular priority and your sovereignty. And then there's the actions of other people in the world. They're two separate things. Because too many people, I think, who want to end government control, set up another kind of control of their own. This is another, you know, problem that has so beset previous reformers, in which everyone thinks, you know, some person thinks they got all the answer, so they take down one tyrant only to become the next one. And that's why I'm so skeptical and really don't pay a slightest interest in what politics is doing, you know, in the political milieu. Because yeah, you can throw around a lot of brilliant ideas stolen from other philosophers and psychologists and great men, but when you actually try to apply it politically, what you not often get is another form of tyranny. I mean, if you wrote down on a piece of paper all the pros of the democratic system, it would look wonderful. You know, if you wrote them down, it would just seem, oh, we have to have this. Yeah, well, we do have it, and it's not that great. So there's a difference between the ideology or the philosophy of a particular system and the actual practicality of it. You know, socialism promised so much to foreign immigrants. You know, did it really work? Are those immigrants really assisted? Is any of the people involved in all of that assisted? No. The World Bank promises to take your debt and just help you have a wonderful, thriving civilization in the nation. Has that happened? No. They can't even take care of the Western civilization. It's crumbling at the seams. They can't even fix that. Because then consciousness has been left at the door, and the fundamentals of man being introduced to what he is and turned into his inner republic have been completely forgotten. Man is a genius of an architect when it comes to the outer world. He's created incredible things. Computers, you know, jet planes, and all sorts of marvelous stuff. But the sad thing about it is, and I believe it's also due to manipulation, age-old manipulation, is that he has sort of overlooked and escaped from and denied his inner temple. And so this is where the danger arises, where it becomes inevitable at some point in life you will have occult knowledge, sacred knowledge, precious knowledge falling into the hands of wrong people. When you look at any advertisement, when you look at any graphic, you're seeing art that is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant art from people of, you know, the level of Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. Very, very skilled artists. But what are they doing? They're selling you some toothpaste or some stupid car. Think of what, you know, and Peter Jackson has proved that, as many others have. What would happen if those people had turned their talents to the uplift of mankind and to the education of mankind? And incredible stuff. Instead of everyone buying the same ugly looking car, what would it be if you had companies that said, hey, come and design your own? We're a company that builds cars, but we build them in any design you feel like. So you you come in, you learn about it, and you submit your designs, and we will build your car. You pay for it just like you pay for a regular, but it's your car. You can even have your name on it. No more personalized number plates. You can have a personalized car. How about that? Do you know how that would turn people on? You know how kids would just love that? You know, so for every little thing we have in our world, there's an alternative way of doing it. There's an alternative setup. And you see this now a little bit with the MySpace, YouTube, Google generation. You see that innovation cropping up a little bit, you know, where people doing different things musically and different things in video. And that's really healthy to see that. Because Aquarius, the Aquarian energy, the age of Aquarius, the scorpionic, rebellious energy, does operate that way. It operates on a grassroots level. The solutions will be of a grassroots nature. Corporate America just doesn't have it, you know. This is not stuff that's going to come down from the penthouse at all. It's not going to be something that's organized. Now, people need to really focus on the fact that it's a study. You're living in a time in which you should never feel emotionally down about the things that are happening. You should realize that you are part of a new paradigm. Because the battles of old were always fought with weapons, and that's useless. The new battles of the world need to be fought with strategy and intelligence.
One thing is sure, a great change of our psychological attitude is imminent. That is certain.
Why?
Because we need more. We need more psychology. We need more understanding of human nature, because the only real danger that exists is man himself. He is the great danger. And we are pitifully unaware of it. We know nothing of man, far too little. His psyche should be studied, because we are the origin of all coming evil.
So, man is the origin and source of all coming evil. It's a provocative statement, all right. By the same token, though, man could also be the source of all coming good. I guess our future is what we make it. It all comes down to a matter of choice. And maybe there's nothing we can do about good and evil. Maybe they're absolutes. In the end, it all comes down to our attitudes towards these realities of good and evil, freedom and enslavement. History has shown us that even when men are forcibly chained and incarcerated, they can still be free inwardly, in their minds and in their hearts. Whatever the future brings, this is the important thing to remember.